we meet. Welcome to the press conference. We have series rookie Felix Rosenquist of Chip Ganassi Racing. Felix, you talked about having experience here with a couple of Indy Lights wins from the pole in 2016. One would assume that has been helpful today as you were third in the first practice and then second in the second.
Yeah, definitely. It felt actually like a really good prep being in Indy Lights here. I think that shows that the program is really good. The Road to Indy way is it's a good way to get prepared for IndyCar. Actually, it felt easier driving one of these cars than the Indy Lights car. You know, having such sophisticated dampers like we have today in IndyCar, it really helps going around a bumpy track like this. But yeah, it was a good day. The entity data Cessna car was, you know, it's the first weekend we had Cessna with us this year. Obviously a long-term partner with Chip Ganassi Racing, but it's good to have them on board, and it was a good way to start off today with 2 top 3 finishes in the practices.
We have a lot of people in the audience who don't follow us on a regular basis. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the dampers help you and why that's such a significant benefit?
Well, I think it's hard to explain how bumpy these circuits are. You know, having done most of my racing career in Europe, I think, you know, what I used to call bumpy is not even on the scale on a track like this. It's not even, you know, visible. It's such big bumps and surface changes, and you know, this track in Detroit particularly is yeah, you need a good set of dampers, and there's just so much you can do with them, you know, on the settings, and that's what we really work a lot on between the races, especially after Detroit, which is the most similar track. You know, we spent a lot of time trying to improve that, so I think the team has done a really good job of that.
We also bring in a pair of Indianapolis 500 winners, the reigning Indy 500 winner Simon Pagenaud, who was fastest of the day, and 2016 Indy 500 winner Alexander Rossi, who had an adventurous day. Let's first talk with Simon. You described your cars just about perfect today.
Yeah, it's been a really good day. I think it comes from a lot of preparation ahead of time. Just very happy with the DXC Technology Chevy. You know, I love this track. It's just a lot of fun. It reminds me of you know, riding in France, and it's just awesome. I just really like the rhythm, and you know, it's fun. The car's really, honestly, really good. I just need to put the lap together, and it seems good in on every tires, in every condition. So I'm gonna get the job done. And I'll tell you what, man, this is so much fun. It's just awesome. You know, I told the team it's such a pleasure to drive this car. Thanks for preparing it.
Alex, I'm curious if you deem this a lot of fun today. You found a couple contact spots. Turn 11 was tricky today, and then you clipped the inside wall on turn 9. Describe how the day went for you.
Yeah, it was difficult this afternoon, for sure. A couple of mistakes from me, so I think that cost us a bit of time changes-wise and understanding the car. But yeah, I mean, I agree with Simon. It's pretty crazy around here. It's a lot of fun. You're sideways a lot of the time, so it's what people want to see in IndyCar racing.
Actually, you're sideways more than you're straight.
Just me personally?
No, like when you watch no, it's not a criticism. You guys know I like this guy. I just think you're sideways everywhere, man. Like, well, yeah, when you don't even just straight from the straightaway.
I don't. It's too much effort to do. So yeah, no, it's probably the hardest street course we go to. So yeah, not much more to say than that.
I'm sure we'll get questions about turn 11. Let's talk, each of you, how you handled turn 11, how you approached it, and was it a really kind of tricky conditions there?
I think turn 11 is always hard. I don't think it's any different this year. I think we just saw quite a few guys trying quite hard there, and yeah, today's the day to try it. You don't want to make these mistakes tomorrow or Sunday, obviously, so you can get a little bit more adventurous with your lines and experimentation to see if something works. And obviously, I found 2 things that didn't work, and hopefully we don't find any more.
Either of you two about how turn 11?
Yeah, I think I haven't had any issues there today where you can see why there's a lot of things happening. You know, it's kind of you get into the corner, you don't really see what the apex is. It all looks the same, so it's almost like a guess where you actually commit to the corner, and if you do that too early, then you have to open your steering and then there's a lot of turning left to do, and the corner just comes right back at you. So yeah, it's cool. It's what people want to see, and it's right in front of the pit stand, so everyone gets a good view.
Questions? We have a wireless mic. All right, Chris, if you wait for the microphone for the transcription.
Felix, how much has it been beneficial to you to have Scott Dixon there to help you with getting everything going with, considering he's the defending winner of this race?
Yeah, I think it's great to have Scott there. I think he really excels when we don't think we have the optimum setup. He always manages to squeeze out the last bit of the car. That's really his strength. I think today though it's been a really smooth day for both of us. The cars felt good straight away from first practice, and I think that's where we see we've been a bit more even, me and Scott. But I'd say more on other circuits like Road America and Detroit, for example. That's where he really. It's been huge for me to just look at his data and just having him as a teammate, and that's just made me able to make that leap between sessions.
Patrick, we're on driver's right.
Felix, the other two drivers all used the word fun about this racetrack. Would you also consider it fun, even though it is quite challenging?
Definitely. I think this is one of the most fun circuits. It's hard to say why, but it's just one of those good flows. It puts a smile on your face when you do a good lap, and it seems like you can sort of trade courage for lap time here when you want to. Like when you really want to go for the lap, it almost feels like you can get another 2/10, but obviously to risking a lot then. But it's awesome. I had loads of fun here in the lights and loads of fun today so far.
I'm curious, the concentration that it takes anywhere is significant. Is the concentration more important at a place like this, given the unforgiveness of what rests on either side of it?
Thank you. Yeah, I think because the risk versus reward is so big, right? You really have to decide if that's a good choice to go in as hard as you think, or if you should give some up. But that's what's so much fun in qualifying here. You really have to put it down on the line and try as hard as you can. So it's a risky lap, and it's also a lot of fun because you know that if you mess it up, it's going to be in the wall. So I think that's the thing with all the tracks and the safety these days. You see some tracks are very safe, but also getting boring for the drivers and the fans because there's such escape areas that you can try things you would never try otherwise. A track like Toronto, you really have to think about that risk versus reward. And I think for a driver, that's one of the things that is a lot of fun to balance.
Bruce, here in front.
Alex, in a lot of ways, is this course a little bit like slalom skiing in the way you have to approach the corners and hit your marks? And I know that up in your neck of the woods, skiing's a big deal.
Yes, I guess. On skis, I mean, you point the front and then you rotate the rear, right? So it's pretty similar here. It's the 9, 10, 11 section is very unique. It's fun if you have a good car. It's hell if you don't. So you just are always trying to find that trade-off. As these guys have said, you can make a lot of time, but the penalty is pretty big. Same goes for the car setup. I mean, if the car is kind of in your window, it's worth a lot of lap time around here, even though it's a 59-second lap, or for some of us, a high 60-second lap. Not all of us can be in the 59. It's definitely something where you have to have everything ticking in the right place, and qualifying is going to be hugely important as usual. But the guy that gets the pole here this weekend will definitely earn it.
Jim Aiello right here in front.
Simon, I heard you talking on TV just before you came in here, just about how important this race and I think the next 6, right? We're doing that. Yeah, 6 races are for the championship. What did you, last 2 weeks, what have you spent thinking about the championship and how much pressure is there on you, this weekend to kind of get yourself back up here with Alex and with Joseph?
Well, after Indy, it was a bit of a blur, quite frankly. Detroit was definitely not the best prepared weekend for us, just because of duties. It was time to re-challenge the batteries, rethink about what we needed going forward. And there's 3 big races coming up. There's 3 weekends, and then you're really going to know who's in the championship for the end. So we've got to be strong here. It's one of my favorite tracks, so we've got to score big. But the biggest thing is to execute, like we've done in Indy. And if we execute, it will sort itself out really well. At the end of the day, it's you got to be. You see every year, you got to be in top 5 up until this point, and now it's time to shine.
Was it a relief today when you get in the car and this is a car that is capable? Like you said, you seem pretty happy with it. I mean, is it a big relief when you get in the car and go, okay, this is something I can really make something special happen with?
I wouldn't say relief, but it certainly it gives you the hope that you're going to be running really strong and score big points in the end. But can't focus on the outcome. The biggest thing is right now is to be focused on how well it feels and how to extract the best of myself and the car together. That's should be a lot of fun tomorrow.
Bruce?
Felix, we talked the other day about St. Pete, Detroit here. Are you starting to see a pattern here? You're having a pretty good weekend, and you had your best finish has been at those 2 tracks.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's personally, it's always been a favorite. Actually, this track as well. So I expected this one to be a good one, and it has been so far. I think also our car has been really good on all the street tracks. So I think it's those 2 together. So yeah, as you say, start to see a pattern by now. I think we had the same thing on the road courses, and that's what we need to work on.
Okay, we'll take our last one here from Patrick over here in the back right driver's side.
Simon, I just wanted to clarify something you said earlier, and Alex, you can weigh in if you'd like also. You talked about some of these tracks have gotten too safe. I presume you don't think this facility is unsafe, but I think you're talking about the risk to the car, not to yourself personally. Can you just...
We have down in the press room Scott Dixon, the number 2 qualifier, driver of the number 9 PNC Bank Honda. Scott, an interesting final lap for you. It looks like you were pushing pretty strong and kind of got away from you.
Yeah, that was the pole lap right there. No,
It always is.
I don't jump 2 corners, so I have no idea. But it's been an interesting day. The last 2 practice sessions, P2 and P3 have been really tough just to get track space. And even this morning, we didn't get one single run with a clear lap, and it's really hard to feel what the car needs when you can't get these rolling laps together. But qualifying a lot easier with half the field. Still had to work on the car. Q1 was a little difficult, and we found some gains for 2 and 3, which definitely helped. But yeah, still just leaving a bit on the table, not piecing the laps together as much as I should be able to. I think the lap that got a second, where I was up at about a 10.5 until the last corner, and just hit the curve real hard and spin the rear a lot. So congrats to Pagenaud. It's been a quick all weekend, and it's good to see. And going to the race. Starting spot last week was good for us. We were able to go on for the win, but as we can see, the competition is extremely tight this weekend.
You won 3 races here, so obviously you have pretty high confidence, and you must feel like you have a car to win.
Yeah, I think both the PNC car and also the NTT with Felix has been really strong. It's nice to have actually, I think the cars were identical going into qualifying, so it's been really nice to have a lot of similarities. It's definitely helped throughout the weekend when we haven't been able to run as much as possible, get clear laps, but we've still been able to go off his pace and some of the things that he's really liked. So that's been helpful.
We have a wireless microphone, and if you could hold the noise down a little bit, it's a little noisy up here. We have any questions? Raise your hand. Patrick? Thank you.
Did you feel a little lucky to have that spin happen and you could be last in line there? Because otherwise you would have lost your quick lap.
Yeah, it's all about timing, right? It was, you know, we were lucky to be the last car. That's kind of how we had spaced it out, timed it. We knew we had about a 5-second window before we started that run, with, you know, including the outlap. So luckily we were in some pretty clear air there behind as well. That, you know, the next car was actually going out the pit. So yeah, super lucky. It could have been second through back to sixth.
Had Scott caused a caution, he would have lost his fastest lap.
It's hard. You know, the fuel window is a lot bigger than what it used to be. You know, it used to be quite tough to do it as two, but I think with the manufacturers, they've been, you know, making such large improvements in the efficiency of the engine, so it's pretty easy. You have fairly big windows now to be able to do it in two. So, you know, the hard part is how long you run on reds. You know, we've seen previous races this year, and this is the same tyre as what we had in Detroit. So, you know, I think it was lap 4 or 5, we saw a caution in Detroit and the whole field pit, except for us, and maybe one other. So, you know, I think it's more not so much about fuel racing now, it's about tyre longevity, which, you know, makes it pretty interesting too, because you get cars off strategy, you know, the speed difference is pretty big, but I think, you know, the tyre that Firestone brought here in Detroit is much more suited to here.
Question in the back. She's running.
So the Road America qualifying melee there kind of helped today, being last out in the Fast 6 with your pit assignment. Could it be a problem tomorrow though with how weird this pit lane is?
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal, especially on the curvature that we are in that pit, you know, because it's hard to actually get into the pit and stop, and then also to leave. If you're on our left turning one, which is kind of like the first 6 or 8, it makes it a lot better. You know, unfortunately, with what happened in Road America, we couldn't do anything about it, right? We couldn't advance on the Q2 because we didn't have any power. But you can't do anything about it. It's nothing. You just hope that, you know, we stay ahead of maybe the car that's in the box behind us. You know, maybe hopefully they give us, you know, space. I think if you have a green flag race, it's not too much of an issue because you can kind of, you know, pit in your own time. Whereas if it's a full course yellow, that's when it's going to get really tricky, especially with how tight they are here. But yeah, this pit road is probably one of the worst until the season as far as spacing and the curvature of it.
We haven't seen you since the ESPYs. Any big moments for you? Any starstruck moments?
Not, you know, I think it was just, it's always impressive to go to that show and just see the intro, and, you know, Tracy Morgan did a very good job on the start of it, and yeah, there's giant people there, man. So everybody stands out. They're all wearing diamonds and sparkly stuff, and they're all about 7 feet tall. So it's pretty interesting to go and people watch.
All right, I believe that does it. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Developing and decorating career. Also won the gold for the Indianapolis 500. Welcome, Simon Pagenaud.
Thank you.
I just thought that you were on a lap and all the adventure was behind you. I don't know that you know this, but Scott Dixon was sliding through a corner and Alexander Rossi was bouncing off the wall. It looked like you had a pretty clean lap.
Yeah, it was the DXC technology car has been phenomenal all weekend. And it was a matter of just extracting the best out of it, getting the tires going, putting myself in a good rhythm. We had pace all weekend. We had a bit of a margin on everybody all weekend, but you know, at the end, in qualifying, everybody goes out to the maximum limit. So obviously, the lap time gets closer and closer and closer. So very difficult to actually qualify, go into the qualifying segment, being so far back in pit lane because you can't get your temperature in the tires because everybody's backing up. So I was really struggling to just transfer and get enough heat in the tires in Q1 and Q2. Then I finished my lap here on Sato in Q2. Luckily we transferred. But then once I was in the Fast 6, I knew we had the car. We didn't need to make any changes. And it was super fast. So, you know, the last lap was definitely, you know, a little bit everywhere to try to extract the maximum out of the tires. And the engine was putting really well down lane short. And quite frankly, it was one of my best laps of qualifying.
It was mentioned on the television broadcast yesterday that it didn't appear you even broke a sweat yesterday, that it was that good. Has it been as good a weekend as it's appeared?
Yeah, the car is very consistent. One thing I explained this weekend was I was trying to get a car that's versatile, that can be good on different asphalt, that can be predictable for me to attack and trust. And it's really what it's giving me this weekend. So that's why you see me being so confident and being able to put laps down like I'm doing. So it's honestly a pleasure to try this weekend. I'm having the most fun I've had in a long, long time. Actually, no, I had just as much fun in London. So it's great to be in that kind of zone.
Questions? You've left them speechless.
It's a joke, right?
Jim?
Yeah, just to ask, what it would mean for you to land a victory here in Toronto? It's one of those places that has eluded you.
Yeah, it has been eluding me here. Like I said, and we talked about it, I've always been really fast here, but unfortunately the heroes have often been against me here. Last year was great, finished second, but we certainly have way more pace this year than we did last year. So, I'm going to attack tomorrow. I mean, this is the end of the championship. It's time to be aggressive, time to pounce on the table, quite frankly, and I'm going to mark my territory. So tomorrow I'm going to go out and drive hard and can't control the outcome. So we'll see what happens.
Jim, right here on your left.
Simon, you mentioned yesterday just getting that break after Indy and how wild that was. Do you feel like you're? I mean, and you had all the other races and all the other media tour stops that you did. Do you feel like you're? I don't know, back to the way you felt maybe before May. Do you feel like back to normal a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Detroit was not fun. Detroit was not fun. I've raced in 24 hours ago. I'm tired, but that was tired for too many days. Which is a good thing, it is what it is. I've just had to take the time with Christine Wiggs, my assistant, to reorganize the team around me and find a way to be a good ambassador for the 500, but also have enough time for me to prepare. We're getting there, obviously, as you can see. We're getting there, but it's definitely a life-changing event, and I've got to adjust and be the champion that I want to be for the 500. So, at this point, I feel like May was great, but I've got other mountain I want to climb and I want a second championship. So, it's time to go.
Question in the back from Mary.
Hi, Simon. I have actually two questions. The Firestone tires, from what I understand, they brought the same red tire as Detroit, but they worked on putting more grip into the black primary tires. And if you touch both of them, the blacks seem to be stickier than the reds, which surprised me. Have you noticed anything? I don't know if you've gone enough laps to do a full stint on the blacks, but I'm just wondering if the blacks will have the longevity that they should have versus the reds.
In my opinion, the blacks are going to have less longevity than last year. They're going to have a bit more degradation, which I think is what was expected from Firestone for better racing. The Reds will have strong degradation, like you've seen in Detroit. That should be exciting. So we'll see. There will be cars. I think it's actually a really good combination. I think there will be cars that will be really strong on one set of tires and not as strong on the other. So it'll be interesting to see who does what on tire strategy. There's going to be a lot of that. You guys need to really pay attention to how many laps each one of us is running on which tire. We're sitting pretty on tires, so I'm pretty excited about the race tomorrow.
And when you say that your car is consistent, I take that to mean it doesn't matter whether you have reds or blacks on, your car is going to be great. But your teammates have, or at least Will Power took your setup, and he seemed to really struggle with it. So what is it that you have that he doesn't, or how is it that you're able to drive that and he's not quite adapting?
Well, I've been on the other side too, quite frankly. It's complicated to explain. I think it's actually just like a soccer player. You can't wear somebody else's shoe. You play well with your own shoe. I think at the end of the day, I'm comfortable with a certain type of car. I like certain behavior, and we like something different, a little bit different. On some tracks, we're very similar, but because of the bumps here, we might be a little different here. So you know, I like a really strong rear end, but I need the front to be really strong in corner. And when I have that, I can really go. So wheel is very different. You like something that rotates a lot from the rear. So it's a very different style, but we drive actually the same way. If you look at the data, you wouldn't tell who's who. It's just a feel thing, I think. You know, I've been on the other side of the stick, and when I don't have what I want, it's very hard to extract the best out of it. And it just shows how tight the field is and what it means to be confident in the car. You know, so yeah, it's that's what racing is all about, really, Mary.
And here in front.
How important is pole at a track like Toronto? Do you think there's going to be a lot of passing tomorrow?
Pole is always important from an ego standpoint. You know, speed is speed, and we are racers, and you want to be the fastest, no question. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to win the race tomorrow, but certainly it puts me in an advantage. I've got the advantage to be up front and saying through turn one clearly of anyone, and I'm going to try to take advantage from that. I certainly rather start first than fifth and get collected in turn three. So it is an advantage here because it's difficult to race from back there. But anything happens in Toronto. I think that's what makes it such an amazing race for the fans, that anything can happen to the end.
We'll take Bruce and finish up with one more.
A little bit of a follow-up on that. I mean, we saw at Road America how that track really favors the leader. Does this type of track have that same effect? Well, the clean air is going to be so much better for you, and the other guys in the back are going to have to scramble for themselves.
I don't know. I finished my lap behind Sato in Q2, and the car didn't fit bad at all. So I think racing is going to be good. We've seen it last year. There were a lot of passing. Turn 3 is such a good corner for passing, and then if someone makes a mistake in turn 11, you're going to have some action in 1. So I just love the layout. I think it's a great layout for racing. Obviously, it's a very shallow, very tight line. So if you make a mistake, you're going to go off and big consequence. So I think that's what makes it such a great event.
Last thing, since May we've heard you a couple times, not a lot, but have mentioned the attack. How I'm on the attack now. Is that a different, and I mean this sincerely, is that a different kind of gear that comes from within? Because it seems like you've presented that a little more lately.
Yes, you know, I think you get to learn yourself within racing. That's what this sport is so amazing to me. You know, you get to learn how you function, how you think, and what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And I think, you know, obviously, I'm not a crasher. You know, I think I actually have a record of not crashing in IndyCar throughout my entire career. So I have to believe in myself that I'm not going to crash even though I attack. So I found, you know, in 16, I just found that there was a certain level of aggressiveness that worked really well for me. But it's not always easy to click into it. So when it happens, it's a lot of fun. But I'm certainly still developing. It's a funny thing. It just feels like there's really no limit. The sky is the limit. So I really enjoy working on that mental side of things.
Thank you, Simon, and perhaps we'll see you in victory lane tomorrow.
Thank you.